Meowdy everyone. Thank you for clicking on another video. How are you? How's your week? I've been playing D.Va since I started playing this godforsaken game in late 2016. In the last near decade, I've heard a lot of things about what you should do and what you shouldn't do as D.Va. I've heard good advice that makes me a better player, and I've heard shit tier advice that belongs in bronze. I want to go over some of the things I hate hearing as a D.Va main. Whether it's bad advice, annoying, redundant, or flat out stupid, I'm sure you've heard one of these things if you've ever played D.Va for any length of time. Just right click. Brother, why do you think I've been in silver for the entire time I've played this damn game? This is just simply not the point of my defense matrix, which, believe it or not, is not unlimited. I'm not your babysitter here to keep an eye on you while you fuck around with the enemy Junkrat that's turning tricks on you. If you die on his death bombs 10 yards away from the fight, that's simply on you. You know what my DM is here for? Mukbanging these ultimates out of existence and making sure you aren't taken out by a javelin or a damage orb. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, I don't think that there is a single tank on the roster whose entire job it is to give you shields. That is just an oversimplification of the role. Why would these heroes have entire unique kits to suit various playstyles if all they're meant to do is babysit the whiniest member of the team? I agree that as a tank, I'm here to protect my team to the best of my ability, but that still leaves everyone else with the basic job of dodging and evading. You're not dying because your tank isn't protecting you. You're dying because you expect your tank to take care of everyone, including your dumbass who can't strafe. It's always from people who have never touched anything besides DPS. Anytime I get this now, I ask how many hours they have on D.Va, and it's always a resounding fucking 0. It doesn't matter if I'm prioritizing my Mercy, who has been running from the enemy Genji for 2 straight minutes. We all know the person who really needs my attention is the Echo orbiting Earth's atmosphere. I really should just leave the Mercy all by herself to help you. You're right. Why are we all stuck in silver, by the way? Stay on the payload. If I'm not mistaken, isn't my job to be ahead of the rest of the team, making space for us to push through in this situation? I mean, obviously, I try not to stay too far away or else I'm overextended, but surely my mission is not being sequestered to Payload, Princess. I'm almost sure that there's more to D.Va than just staying on the point or payload. Not to say I'll never do it, not saying that at all. I enjoy my fair share of sitting around doing dick all while the rest of the team goes crazy. That's fine and dandy when it comes to quick play, it doesn't really matter that much. I only get frustrated when it's a comp match and I can't seem to get anyone else to stay on point, or I'm explicitly told my role is staying on the payload. It's just one of the many things that I hear that don't make much sense. I can't make heads or tails of where this assumption came from. That my team is somehow served best with my ass firmly planted on the top of a car. I don't think I should take it too seriously, but if for some reason there's merit in this, I'd be happy to hear someone out. I'm not above being proven wrong. Play Winston instead. Okay, so I really only hate to hear this because I'm an inexperienced Winston player and I don't understand how my skills as D.Va are supposed to transfer. I like Winston's shield and his dive is self-explanatory, but I just feel like I can't do nearly as much damage with him. I also just vibe a lot more with D.Va's boosters than I do Winston's dive. I just feel like I have more distance and power with the boosters. This probably means that I need to spend more time on Winston, or any tank besides D.Va for that matter, but I just don't feel the motivation to do so. I don't know, maybe if they added a sweet Lolita themed skin for Winston, I'd be interested, but unfortunately Overwatch doesn't want my money or input on skins. Overall, Winston is a fine character. I just don't understand him well, and I hate playing anyone besides my best girl, so I have a grudge against anyone who wants me to play him. Why did your ult miss? So I'm not sure if anyone has ever given this question any thought before or even after asking it. I want you to imagine that there is a giant bomb floating through the sky with a well-timed and anticipated detonation and a giant arrow telling everyone where it's coming from. And then I want you to ask me that question again. Do you know how many dominoes have to fall in the exact right place at the same time for a D.Va bomb to go off successfully? Not to mention that shields, Suzu, or a well-timed teleport and many more things can completely negate the effect of my ult. It's simply just not as easy as launching and getting a team wipe. You also need to understand that D.Va bomb is not always about kills. One of my favorite ways to use it is as a scattering method when we just need a few more seconds to capture the objective. You can also use it to block major choke points and prevent entry, or even as a distraction so I can achieve a team wipe using my mech squish alone. It can even be as simple as I'm about to die and using my ult provides me with a second life, kind of like Echo. Just focus on yourself and your own ultimate. I promise that if it was possible for me to wipe out an entire team with just Q, I would have done so already. No skill character. This is definitely not exclusive to Diva, as I'm sure everyone has heard this once or twice by now for just about every character. I'll cut to the chase. There is simply no such thing as a no skill character in this game or in any game for that matter. Video games take some level of skill and technical knowledge. We aren't born with the divine knowledge of how to game. If these characters were truly no skill, then that would mean the average 94-year-old Meemaw could get a Diva 5k with little to no issue, but I have to guess that your average Meemaw can't manage that. I don't think I have to harp on this point much more because most of us with 2.5 brain cells to jack off with know that there's no such thing as no skill characters. This is just something that cranky gamers will whip out when you're clearing the board. It's always one of the worst ways to try to make someone feel down, in my honest opinion. Why didn't you clear with Nano? So, Diva's damage output is not great. If I'm nanoed against a team with full health, I'm literally incapable of doing enough damage to make a difference. The best thing I can do with a Nano is to dive the supports or create space since no one really wants to tango with a nanoed Diva, even if she is useless. I'm great with burst damage, but after I use my missiles, there's just not much else I can do. Not to mention that Nano boost does nothing for my ult, and if timed poorly, I could even waste the boost on accident. Nano doesn't carry over to Baby Diva either, so it's just overall a risk when you're in game with randoms. This isn't to say that it's always a waste. I'm sure other Diva mains have absolutely cleared with Nano under the right circumstances, but that's just the thing. The circumstances have to be just right or else once again it's a waste. Anytime I've done well while boosted, it's been under the circumstance that the enemy team is purpled, I can't remember the term right now, or some other debuff of some kind. If you're new to Ana, just be mindful of what your Diva can actually do versus what you want her to be able to do. And please let us know that you have Nano before shooting us, please. Why don't you have the most kills? I don't really understand why this is a common question because I don't think the goal of the game should be getting the most kills. Not unless this is a deathmatch, of course. The winning factor of the game is typically who can capture the most territory or move an object from point A to point B, not who is getting the most kills. To answer your question though, it's probably because I'm getting more assists than kills, which is allowing you to be the player to land the most kills. Usually what's happening here is that I'm dealing the most damage while someone else is finishing them off for me so that I can stay focused on holding the line. Diva is only for e-girls. Yes, I've actually heard this, and I've heard people say this about Mercy too. Look, let's not beat around the bush, it's just misogyny. The implications that certain characters are only played by a specific demographic of women you don't particularly like is just shoehorning your misogyny into the game. None of the people actually saying this really believe that it's true. There's a good chance that they themselves have played the characters that they're demeaning. I got this accusation a lot more before I transitioned, and it was always just a statement riddled with hatred coming from the most toxic player in the game. The intent is to make the girls in the game feel degraded, unappreciated, and powerless, just like all forms of harassment against women. I know that it sounds like I'm making a mountain out of an anthill, but this is just one head of a hydra out of hundreds.
Get up on the hydra's back!
Okay, but in all seriousness, we have to stop perpetuating the idea that certain characters are only played by certain people. I've heard similar things about how quote-unquote only gay dudes play Lifeweaver, which is another side of the same misogyny. Stop being so insecure that you can't even play a character in a video game with a different sexuality than your own. How about we stop getting mad and play the game that we all paid a lot of money to be playing right now? You need to get that Widow. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Widows tend to be very far away, while my guns are extremely close range. If I'm not mistaken, X is not equaling Y here. I understand that I have boosters that can fly me in and out quickly, but anytime I leave to handle Widows, my team ends up suffering the consequences of lacking a tank. If I'm halfway across the map harassing Widowmaker, then who's stopping Orisa from shredding our supports? I feel like this is either stupid advice or I'm missing something here. If I'm in a game where I know my DPS and supports can be fine without me for a minute, then I have no problem fucking off for a while. The problem is that I can't always trust my DPS to pick up the same slack while I'm gone now, can I? Sometimes I have 2 damage players with 5 kills between them and 16 deaths, and you know it's usually these 2 players who are complaining about the Widowmaker. I just don't think it's the best idea to leave Tweedledee and Tweedledum alone with my supports. Why didn't you switch fast enough? Probably because I almost have my ultimate and I want to at least use it before giving up. Believe it or not, it's not incredibly wise to switch heroes every 2 seconds. I have been in an entire games where somebody has switched characters nearly every single time they reached ult and completely wasted it. They didn't use a single ultimate all game, and I know that's worse than just holding out for another minute or two. I'm not opposed to switching when I need to, but I'm definitely opposed to wasting a perfectly good bomb. It's also just entirely possible that I just haven't died yet. I'm not switching unless I die first on most maps. It's just too risky in a competitive game to just leave the fight to dick around and hero select for a while. If I'm wrong, however, and I should be walking all the way back to spawn to swap before my ultimate is charged, please let me know and I will gladly improve. Nearly all these questions have simple, straightforward, and obvious answers that don't require a huge breakdown. Sometimes the best thing to be doing in a competitive match is to be minding your own business and spending more time fighting, not typing. I'm just glad that I don't hear most of these on a daily basis, or else I might just flip the fuck out. It's already annoying enough when I have someone trying to micromanage me, let alone ask me stupid shit along the way. If you like my video, make sure to give me a like, a comment, and a sub. If you didn't like my video, give me a dislike. If you didn't like it, give me a dislike, a comment as to why you hated it, and maybe share the video with a few friends so they can comment why they hate it as well. Catch me on Twitch. I'll see you later. Bye!